starting with Crazy, the connection between the mother and the son is a very special connection where they can almost, you know, communicate with telepathy, you know, and in Cafe there's a connection between two stories that is linked by a song through the years, different continent, different countries, different time zones, but yet the stories are linked. I mean, you know, it's a medium that allows that, where, and I like that when I watch films from other filmmakers, where there's this magic, this mystical quality, and it makes me want to get out of reality and explore, and gives a little and give a little bit of surreal, explore the surrealism.
Because we know about surrealism. Yes. Believe me, we live in it every day. Speaking of demolition, you know, there's a specific line that I really am obsessed about, because you were able to summarize the whole act of grieving, and a beautiful metaphor when he's fixing or actually destroying the refrigerator. If you want to fix something, you have to take everything apart and figure out what's important, which is actually what he's going through. It almost feels like you're enhancing how any act of creation comes from chaos before, and I actually believe it's beautiful. Tell us a little bit more about this approach, and also I would love to know, our accredited press, the relevance of demolition being in Los Cabos, because it hasn't been shown other than Toronto, and we feel so privileged as an audience, as a festival, as a whole town, for this generosity from your side.
You're welcome. Happy to be here, and it's true. Yeah, it's the second time the film has been shown, and we have to give credit to the brain behind Demolition, who's Brian Sipe, the screenwriter. So this line that you quote is from Brian. He's a special case. He's a beautiful person. He's funny. He's sensitive. He's a touching guy, and he just wrote, to my humble opinion, he just wrote a masterpiece, and I just couldn't not see myself not direct this film, and you know, I say it often, choosing your film is choosing your lifestyle. You're gonna do this for 2 or 3 years, and I wanted to do this one badly, tell this story of grief, but also of love. Behind the chaos, this guy learns to love again, and we forget to do this sometimes when we're caught up in our daily life with our daily problems, and we forget to take care of the loved ones, and we forget to love. And Brian's script is a beautiful metaphor about that, and it's funny when you mentioned Jake's acting at the beginning. It's funny, something happened on this film. I did something in the cutting room that I've never done in the previous films before, and I realized when I was starting to cut Demolition that I couldn't let the shots live. I had to cut them very quickly. And if you look at all the other films that I've made, I try not to interfere with editing, and I try to leave the shots live as long as possible, and not try to cut and create great performances or emotions. If it's already in the camera, you're on the set, there's no cutting yet, and I get emotional. Therefore, I get in the cutting room, and I don't want to interfere, and I just want to show the audience this is how I felt, and this shot alone by itself, if you're gonna cry, this is great. I'm not going to try to, you know, mess it up.
To manipulate it, yeah.
In Demolition, at the beginning of the story, this guy feels nothing. His wife just died, and he sees everyone's around him, devastated. The girl was 30-year-old. Of course it's heartbreaking. Everybody cries except him. And he's in a zone where, what's wrong with me? What's going on? And he's like emotionless. So his acting was, and I was daring for him. And that was a tough part to choose for an actor. How am I going to portray this guy who doesn't feel anything for the first 30 minutes? This is gonna be boring. This is gonna be, how am I gonna do this? And even Jake, when he saw my first cut, even him told me, why don't you show my face as fast as you can in the first 30 minutes, since I'm always the same. And what I started to do, what I was about to say is, the more I let the shots leave, the more I wanted to, like, oh my God, this is so long, this is so boring, who's this guy? Then, when you cut the shots after 3, 4, 5 seconds, you stimulate the brain, and you go somewhere else, and you don't have time to think, and you don't have time to judge the guy. Like when the shots were 30 seconds long, where, what is he doing? How come he's standing there, does nothing? Dude, your wife just died, do something. So if you don't have time to think and judge, what can do that? But a cutting, that cut. So I cut this film like an action film, and it's a character-driven film, but it cuts every 3, 4 seconds. And then breaks, and then you go, oh, and then you go there. And then it slows down when he starts to meet with this woman that is another lost soul, like him. And the beauty of Brian's script, again, is that these two lost souls find each other, and without even wanting it or realizing it, they're going to help each other out to find their truth and find their thing, that will bring back to life.
That's really, really interesting.